What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a fun reaction, top 10 Canadian songs, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the things that the patrons bring. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to make it here, so check out the Patreon link below, or the Patreon link on the end screen. If you're interested in supporting us in any way, we super appreciate it. Well, Doug says, for my top 10 list, I decided to randomize my 125 Canadian songs list and pick the first 10 songs that came up. So it's not the top 10 Canadian songs ever. It's a randomization of the first 10 songs that came up, which makes for a fun list because you get all kinds of diversity and variety. He says, my hope is that this list will introduce you to some good Canadian songs. He calls it the Canadian Shuffle. So I think that's going to be great. Just a reminder, the music will not be in the video. It'll be at a Vimeo link below. So if you want to listen to music, and I highly suggest you do that with us, then click on that Vimeo link. Let's get after it. So we got a couple songs that aren't on Spotify, so you won't see a Spotify bar. We got Sunny Days by Lighthouse from the Sunny Days album in 1972. They're a Canadian rock band formed in 1969 in Toronto, Ontario, whose repertoire included elements of rock music, jazz, classical music, swing, and featured horns, string instrumentals, and vibraphone. They won Juno Awards for Best Canadian Group of the Year in 1972, 1973, and 1974. Lighthouse made its performing debut on May 14, 1969 at the Rock Pile in Toronto, introduced by the great Duke Ellington. I thought that was cool, with the words, "I'm beginning to see the light, pause, house." The band originally consisted of 13 members. Sunny Days, this song became the band's second top 5 Canadian hit single and second to go platinum. It was also a top 40 hit in the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 34. So one of the fun things about this list is a lot of these groups I didn't even know, or a lot of these artists. So I was able to do all this research. I don't share all the research with you. I try to summarize it for you, but looking forward to this one. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Doug. All right, Lighthouse, Sunny Days. I mean, the guy's just in the backyard, you know, partaking and just chilling, saying there's nothing better than being out there in the sun, which is true for your health. You don't want too much of it, but it's very true. People are sun deprived, and it does so much for your body. So he's just chilling out in the Sunny Days. It has a great vibe to it, right? Some nice harmonizing in there. Just puts a smile on your face. It's happy music, man. So I super enjoyed that one. And who knew that Lighthouse was that big of an act? I've never even heard of them. Next up, we got Echo Beach from Martha and the Muffins from Metro Music in 1980. Martha and the Muffins are a Canadian rock band active from 1977 to the present, although they only had one major international hit single, this one, under their original band name. They had a number of hits in their native Canada, and the core members of the band also charted in Canada and internationally as M&M. It's an M plus M, so I'm guessing it's M&M is how you say that. The group's initial lineup came together in Toronto in 1977 when David Millar asked his fellow Ontario College of Arts student Mark Gain to help him start a band. Miller recruited Martha Johnson to play keyboards. Johnson brought in a friend from high school, Carl Finkel, to play bass, and Gain's brother Tim signed on as the drummer. With Miller and Mark Gain as guitarists and Johnson's lead vocals, this is the lineup that debuted in October 1977. Gives you the Martha, right? They chose the name Martha and the Muffins to distance themselves from the aggressive names adopted by many punk bands of the era. According to Mark Gain, quote, "We decided to use it as a temporary name until we could all agree on something better. The name ended up sticking for the next 7 years." Echo Beach was written by Mark Gain, 5 in Canada, 6 in Australia, 10 in the UK, certified gold in Canada, and also won the Juno Award for Single of the Year. Echo Beach, as mentioned in the song, does not refer to a real beach, but rather a symbolic notion of somewhere the narrator would rather be, somewhere far away in time. I think we can all relate to that at times. The song was created while Gain was working, checking wallpaper for printing faults. That's a tough job, right? That's a monotonous job. He found the work rather dull, and his mind drifted to times he would like to live over again. One such time was an evening spent at Sunnyside Beach on the shoreline of Lake Ontario in Toronto in the summer. Echo Beach was a reference made to a faded time and place gone in the lyrics of the song Hiroshima Mon Amour by the band Ultravox. In June 2011, concert promoter Live Nation, the evil ones, right? They're owned by Ticketmaster, opened a 4,000-person outdoor concert facility in Toronto and named it after the song. In 2003, Q Magazine listed it among the 1,001 best songs ever. And in 2005, it was named the 35th greatest Canadian song of all time on the CBC radio series 50 Tracks. I know it's a lot of info, but I mean, this song is so well thought of, I wanted to do it justice. Echo Beach, some nice brass on there, some nice horns, right? Just a really good song, really catchy. And I bet he didn't play it for his boss, right? When he wrote it from 9 to 5, I spent my time at work. My job is very boring. I'm an office clerk. The only thing that helps me pass away the time is knowing I'll be back at Echo Beach someday. Or the way we escape to past memories like that, and maybe we'll be back there again to get us through the current situation, to stay Just a cool thing to, Echo Beach, far away in time, that's in my head now because they repeat that so much at the outro. Just really, really well done. Well, next up, we have Signs from five-man electrical band from the album Goodbyes and Butterflies in 1970. The five-man electrical band, known as the Staccatos, Staccatos probably from 1963 to 1968. It's a Canadian rock band from Ottawa. They had many hits in Canada, including the top 10 entries Half Past Midnight in 1967 as the Staccatos, Absolutely Right 1971, and I'm a Stranger Here in 1972. Internationally, they're best known for this song, their 1971 hit single, Signs. It's written by the band's frontman Wes Emerson when he was road tripping on Route 66 in California and noticed the beautiful scenery was obscured by many billboards. It's originally a 1970 B-side to the relatively unsuccessful single Hello, Melinda, Goodbye, which went to 55 in Canada. Re-released in 1971 as the A-side, it reached number 4 in Canada and number 3 in the US. So many songs back in the day were B-sides, right? When that mattered, when people actually would listen to B-sides and got flipped to A-sides with great success. Signs, five-man electrical band. That guitar on that coda on that outro was fantastic. I know like the chorus of this song, right? I don't know the rest of the song, but it was great, man. He's talking about just the signs everywhere. He's got long hair, and the sign said, "Long-haired freaky people need not apply." So he tucked it up in his hat, and the guy said, "I think you'll do." And then he pulled off the hat and said, "Imagine that, huh? Me working for you." And then sign everywhere, sign, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Don't do this, do that. Can't you read the sign? Then he comes across a place that says, "Caught trespassing will be shot on sight." So he jumps the fence and tells him, "What right do you have to tell me that?" I would not advise that, boys and girls. And then the bridge on here. Now, hey, mister, can't you read? You got to have a shirt and tie to get a seat. You can't even watch. No, you can't eat. You ain't supposed to be here. The sign said you got to have a membership card to get inside. And then he goes to a church in verse 3, right? Everybody welcome, come and kneel down and pray. When they passed around the plate, he didn't have anything, so he took a pen and paper and wrote his own little sign. He said, "Thank you, Lord, for thinking about me. I'm alive and doing fine." So that song was great. Next up, we got We're Here for a Good Time, in parentheses, Not a Long Time, by Trooper from Knock 'em Dead Kid in 1977. Trooper's a Canadian rock band formed by vocalist Raw McGuire and guitarist Bryan Smith in 1975. The group is best known for its hits Raise a Little Hell, this song, The Boys in the Bright White Sports Car, General Hand Grenade, 3 Dressed Up as a 9, Janine, 2 for the Show, Oh Pretty Lady, and Santa Maria. This song was released in June of 77 as the lead single. Despite only reaching number 43 in Canada, it's continued to be popular, receiving a SOCAN Classic Award in 1999 in recognition of 100,000 radio plays in Canada. Album I found was produced by the great Randy Bachman. All right, Trooper, We're Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time. I thought that was going to be more rocking. It actually, which would have been great, but this was great. It was really a nice surprise. It's very catchy, vast on the arrangement, more so than what I expected. It's just a really good song. Shout out to Trooper. I had a hard time finding much on Trooper. They were the ones that were most difficult to find info on. So hopefully, if you've never heard them, you go explore them a little bit. That's part of the idea of this thing. Next up, we have a group that I have some familiarity with. We've got Feel It Again by Honeymoon Suite from the Big Prize in 1986. Honeymoon Suite's a Canadian rock band formed in 1981 in Niagara Falls, Ontario. The band's name was a nod to the fact that Niagara Falls is the unofficial honeymoon capital of the world. I always wonder why it was called it. They wrote the theme to Lethal Weapon in 1987, so I know that song. Feel It Again was written by the band's keyboardist Ray Cockburn and was the band's first top 20 hit in Canada. It's also the band's biggest stateside hit, reaching number 34 in the Billboard Hot 100. It remains their only top 40 hit to date in the U.S. In 2015, Cockburn was presented with a SOCAN Classic Award, just what Trooper got, based on the song been played more than 100,000 times on Canadian radio. I'm pretty sure I know this song, and I'll know it when I hear it. All right, Feel It Again, Honeymoon Suite. Got to have that 30-plus second fade out that we had back in 1986. This song sounds just like 1986. I know this song. I don't know that I know it greatly, but man, we got the keyboards, we got that anthemic chorus. I'm here for all of it, man, because I was 15 years old in 1986. Basically, just he lost the girl, but he's not giving up on her because he wants to have that feeling again, and he's trying to convince her she needs it too. So that one's a really good one. Now remember, I told you this is a randomized list, and with that, you get so much variety. And this is a true variety. Who knew this song was out there? Ringo by Lauren Green. Yeah, the actor, single in 1964. It's a popular song written by Don Robertson and Hal Blair. It was a hit single for Lauren. It reached number 1 on the Billboard US charts and number 21 on the country charts in the US. Went to number 1 in Canada. This was in December of 1964. That is important. The song's sole song lyric is performed by a male chorus while the verses are a spoken word first-person account of a Western lawman and his friendship with a notorious gunfighter known only as Ringo. Green described the song as about Johnny Ringo, the outlaw, though the account in the song differs from Ringo's life. Green said the song was written as a typical Western ballad in the vein of El Paso by Marty Robbins. We actually got that album up. Given his fame on Bonanza, he had asked two songwriters to come up with a song that fit in with his persona on that show. This is the important part. He also acknowledged that some teens who bought the record were probably expecting it to be about Beatles drummer Ringo Starr, even though it was never about him, and believed that after listening to it, they would not be disappointed the song was actually about a Western outlaw. And that's probably why it got so much success, right? I read a bunch of other stuff I won't bore you with, but you also got Hal Blaine on drums and percussion and Tommy Tedesco on guitar. Of course, from the Wrecking Crew, man. Some of the greatest session musicians ever. Let's get it. Ringo, what an epic tale, man, right? So he comes across this man and he finds he's got, he digs one of the bullets out with his knife and saves Ringo's life. And then he goes his own way, our protagonist. He becomes a lawman, and Ringo goes another way and becomes an outlaw who's supposed to have the fastest draw. And he knew someday they'd come across each other, and they did. They found out he was holed up in this town. So our protagonist goes in alone without the posse, and they draw, and Ringo shoots the gun out of his hand and comes over to him with his .44 and says, "Now we're even, friend," and helps him up. He tries to block Ringo from going out in the street, but Ringo does, and they shoot him dead and celebrate. Everybody says it's our protagonist that did him in, and at the very end, that everyone wonders why on Ringo's grave there's a star, because the protagonist left his badge there. Just an epic tale, man. Next up, we have the great Bruce Cockburn. If I Had a Rocket Launcher from Stealing Fire in 1984. Bruce is a Canadian singer, songwriter, and guitarist. His song styles range from folk to jazz-influenced rock, and his lyrics cover a broad range of topics, including human rights, environmental issues, politics, Christianity. He's written more than 350 songs on 34 albums over a career spanning 50 years, and has sold over 1 million albums in Canada alone. The song was inspired by his visit, sponsored by Oxfam, to Guatemalan refugee camps in Mexico following the counterinsurgency campaign of dictator Efrain Rios Montt. Although Cockburn had occasionally touched on political themes in his earlier songs, this song was his first explicitly political song to be released as a single, and earned him a new reputation as an outspoken musical activist. In a later interview, he stated that the song is not a call to arms, this is a cry. Went to 49 in Canada, only went to 88 in the US. It was Cockburn's only single, besides Wondering Where the Lions Are, to reach top 100 in the US. And we do have, from way back when, one of our OG patrons, B. Mac, brought a Cockburn selection, right, of a bunch of his songs. So go check that out after this. I loved him, and I won't tell you if this song was on there or not. All right, some fire lyrics on that one, right? And I mean, he's basically just talking about the situations he saw. Here comes the helicopter, second time today. Everybody scatters and hopes it goes away. How many kids they've murdered, only God can say. And then he goes, and then if I had a rocket launcher, in the very last line, it's four lines in the chorus, of course, in the very ones, I'd make somebody pay. And I don't believe in guarded borders. I don't believe in hate. I don't believe in generals or their stinking torture state. When I talk with survivors of things too sickening to relate, if I had a rocket launcher, and then the very last one, he goes from I'd make someone pay to I would retaliate. And then talks about the starvation. If I had a rocket launcher, I would not hesitate. And I want to raise every voice. At least I've got to try. Every time I think about it, water rises to my eyes. Situation desperate, echoes of the victim's cry. And then the very last one, some SOB would die. A very powerful song. A very of the times arrangement, right? I mean, it has the sound of a song from the mid 80s. And really good choice here. We got 3 songs left. Remember, these are not in any sort of order. They're not the top 10 Canadian. They're just a randomized Canadian shuffle. So they're not in any sort of order. But we got a song that's not on Spotify. You know why it's not on Spotify? Because the artist is not on Spotify anymore. So you probably guessed it. It's Canadian. We got to have a guy that we call Uncle Neil around here. Neil Young. We got Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black. Combined with his acoustic counterpart, My, Hey, Hey, Out of the Blue, it bookends Neil Young's 1979 album, Rust Never Sleeps. I have a whole reaction up to that. The song was influenced by the punk rock zeitgeist of the late 70s, in particular by Young's collaborations with American art punk band Devo, and what he viewed as his own growing irrelevance. The song Hey Hey My, as well as the titular phrase of the album on which it was featured, Rust Never Sleeps, sprang from Young's collaboration with Devo, and in particular the band's frontman, Mark Mothersbaugh. In 1977, Devo had been asked by Young to participate in the creation of his film Human Highway, and a scene in the film shows Young playing the song in its entirety with Devo. The lyrics of the song, particularly the line "Out of the Blue and Into the Black," are an epigraph and are also featured prominently in Stephen King's novel It. The line, "It's better to burn out than to fade away" was included in Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain's suicide note. Kind of made it famous back in 1994. It's also referenced in Panic at the Disco's Nicotine, Def Leppard's Rock of Ages, Hole's Reason to Be Beautiful, which of course is fronted by Courtney Love, the widow of Kurt Cobain. So kind of strange there. And most recently, Machine Gun Kelly's 27. So the great debate is whether you like this song or My Hey Hey Out of the Blue. But we ran all of Uncle Neil's 1970s discography and got reactions to those up Trey and I did for one of our other patrons, Carl, a while back. And Neil Young, fantastic. Hey Hey My Into the Black. I mean, just a stone cold classic. The musicianship and guitar work on here and just jam is unreal. There's not a lot to the lyrics, actually, believe it or not, because there's so much instrumentation on there. But verse 3, "The king is gone, but he's not forgotten. Johnny Rotten, it's better to burn out because Russ never sleeps. The king is gone, but not forgotten." And then that "Hey, hey, my, rock and roll can never die." There's more to the picture than meets the eye. And so Neil said in an interview, so the rock and roll spirit is not survivable. Of course, the people who play rock and roll should survive, but the essence of the rock and roll spirit to me is that it's better to burn out really bright than to sort of decay off into infinity. Even though if you look at it in a mature way, you'll think, well, yes, you should decay off into infinity and keep going along. Rock and roll doesn't look that far ahead. Rock and roll is right now. What's happening right this second? Is it bright or is it dim because it's waiting for tomorrow? That's what people want to know. And that's why I say that. So just, this is a stone cold classic. We got 2 tracks left. Next up, we have a group I've never heard of, Frozen Ghost. The song "Should I See" off the Frozen Ghost album in 1987. Frozen Ghost was a Canadian rock band formed in 1985 in Toronto by Arnold Lanny and Wolf Hassel. Were previously with the band Sheriff. The band received a Juno Award for Most Promising Group of the Year in 1987. They placed 5 songs in the Canadian Top 40 between 1987 and 1992, including "Should I See" and "Head Over Heels." "Should I See," this song, is an anti-censorship song. Also became a minor hit in the U.S., reaching number 69 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles in 1987. And the video for this song was nominated at the 1987 Junos for Best Video of the Year. The group formed after Sheriff disbanded following a moderately successful run during which they had reached the top 10 on the Canadian music chart with "When I'm With You," which is much later reissued in the U.S. in 1989 and went to number 1. So I knew that song, so I was like confused. That was my senior year of high school. I'm like, how did they break up way back then? But for some reason it was reissued and put back out. Lanny singing lead vocals and playing all guitar and keyboard parts, in addition to being credited as the sole songwriter, while Hassel played bass and sang backing vocals. "Should I See" Frozen Ghost. Nice guitar work there. Got some sax in there. A good song. I think, basically it's about, it would really apply and really teenagers could relate to this because it was, you kind of tell me what to do and how to do it. And what do you have that right? Don't tell me what I should see, So, yeah, I mean, it was fine. It's not going to be one of my favorites on here, but it's a good track. Now, for me, kind of like having Uncle Neil on here, you got a Canadian list, you got to have Bryan Adams on here. The Best Was Yet to Come, off Cuts Like a Knife in 1983, which was the first time a 12-year-old me discovered Bryan Adams. He's on a show called American Bandstand. You boys and girls that are a little older are going to remember that. And I saw him on there singing Cuts Like a Knife, and I'm like, who's this dude? This dude's great. I went and bought this cassette. Who knows if I ever listened to this song? I probably just listened to the hits, but let's check it out. All right, the best was yet to come. Basically telling this girl that the best was yet to come. So what's so good about goodbye? She kind of left him. I mean, I love Bryan Adams, man. I do. I love him. I always have. So he's fantastic. So just listen to any Bryan song it's a treat, man. So a good one to finish this list out. Now it's time for me to give you my favorite tracks from Doug's Canadian Shuffle. This is hard because now remember he said his favorite 125 Canadian songs that he had in a playlist. So obviously these have been screened. These are really good songs. All of them are really good songs, right? Or they wouldn't be in the top 125. Doug's got great taste in music. So I can't have them all in here. So I had to make some tough cuts, but I do almost have them all in here. So the 3 songs that don't make this list, I don't dislike at all. I just was trying to narrow it down. Honorable mention, Sunny Days by Lighthouse. We're Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time by Trooper. Feel It Again by Honeymoon Suite. My faves are going to be Echo Beach, Martha and the Muffins. Signs by the 5-man electrical band. Bruce Cockburn, and If I Had a Rocket Launcher. And of course, Hey Hey, My by Uncle Neil Young. So let me know your favorites down below. What are the Canadian songs you recommend? Remember, this wasn't Doug's top 10, so there's going to be some stone cold classics that aren't on here by by intent, right? Because we want you to discover some other stuff. I sure discovered some stuff that I enjoy. So let me know what you think below. Until next time, guys, I will see you.